Hey, how you doing? Welcome to another edition of Making You a Bartending Pro. I'm Jason. Now this is part 3 of a mini series about getting you the job. Make sure you go watch parts 1 and 2, which talk about how to develop an area that you can create a big list of establishments that you can go apply at. Then in part 2, we talk about how to approach the managers and the times of day that you need to approach the establishments so that you can maximize your opportunity to talk to a hiring manager. So now with those 2 pieces in place, let's talk about your resume. The resume that you need to drop off to hopefully help get you this job. Now, the first thing that's important to realize is that resumes they're easy, but they're kind of hard. They're easy because these are very simple, and they're hard because people want to overcomplicate this. You're gonna kind of have to go against what you think you already know in terms of resume building. Now, resumes will not get you the job. The only thing that has ever or will ever get you a job in almost any job or career your entire life is your personality. It's your knowledge that you have, obviously, but it's more your personality that you can fit into the culture of the establishment or the job that you're looking for. And so that's the main thing that hiring managers need to feel is a good fit, is just your personality will match with the culture of the establishment or organization that you're applying to. So remember that a resume will not get you the job. The only thing we need a resume to do is to get us a phone call. That's the whole point of a resume. And a scary fact about resumes is on average, a manager will look at your resume for 12 seconds, top to bottom, total time. So that means that this thing needs to be short, sweet, and to the point. And this is specifically for the service industry. Now, as you go into other endeavors, if you ever do, if you go into different professions, then this obviously will change a little bit and can change drastically actually. But for this industry, for the service industry, for being a bartender, we're dealing with very busy managers and we need this thing to be short, sweet, to the point because we got 12 seconds. To back up a little bit, the whole point of this resume is to get a phone call, right? So let's talk a little bit about phone rules. So some rules for the phone. You don't want to disqualify yourself right off the bat because you did something stupid on your phone. Now, doing something stupid on your phone could entail ringbacks. Now, I don't even know if these exist anymore. This used to be more of a concern 5 to 10 years ago when they were pretty common and trendy, where you would have a ringback, where that's where you call somebody and instead of the phone ringing, you hear a song playing. Actual survey, 75% of hiring managers will hang up immediately on a ringback. So don't have a ringback on your phone. Next thing, don't have some stupid voicemail on your phone, right? We all know the guy that you call him and they're like, hello, and you're like, yeah, hey, what's up? And he goes, hello, you're like, yeah, he's like, oh, just kidding, not here, leave a message. You're like, come on, really, guy? Remember the hot buttons, we need to be enthusiastic, so don't sound like you're dead, like, hi, this is Jason, I'm not here right now. You need to be awake, you need to be alive. So make sure you sound enthusiastic on your voicemail. And don't be trying to be cool, you know, like, yo, you know what to do? No, I don't know what to do. Don't be cool, don't be a jackass. Just make it short and sweet. Be outgoing, enthusiastic. Here's a good one. Hi, I'm Jason, I'm not here right now. Leave a message, I'll get back to you as soon as I can. And if you've been dropping around a lot of resumes, a kind of a unique thing that you can do is to reference the job. Hi, this is Jason, I'm not here right now. If you're calling about the job, I'm very excited. Please leave a message, I'll call you back as soon as I can. Cheers. That's a great one. And yeah, of course, you might have that on your phone for a few weeks while you're trying to get a job and your friends will heckle you like, what's this job thing? It's like, who cares? They might heckle you now, but when you get a job at a bar, then they're gonna think it's really cool and they're gonna come in and party and they're gonna be very happy that you're working at that bar. So don't worry about friend heckling if you have that on your voicemail. We got the phone rules out of the way. So getting back to the resumes, remember, short, sweet, to the point. Starting at the top, we're gonna go top to bottom. The top, very top part, your title, which you don't wanna put title. Your title is your name. So put your name nice and big across the top. Then underneath that, you need to have contact information, which is your phone number and your email. All right, now let's pause a second on the email. This is another place where you can disqualify yourself. You should have a very basic professional looking email, and that means just your first and your last name at Yahoo, Gmail, whatever. And there are enough combinations that you should be able to get this either first last name at, first dot last name at, first underscore last name at, first letter dot last name at, first letter underscore last name at. Or you can try first name dot last letter at, first name underscore last letter at, right? You get my point. So you want to make this your name as much as you can and very simple. And don't use an old email. Like if you have an old email from junior high that's like Chris loves teddy bears at Yahoo or jammin420 at Gmail, you know, like be conscious of this. Make sure that you don't have a bunch of numbers. Like if it's Jason 3672135889, the manager has to type that in and they're gonna get it wrong and they're just gonna like, why the f does this guy have this email? So no like slang or words or 420 references or drug references or gun references or any sort of disqualifying references in your email. First, last name at, as much as you can. Okay, so name, nice and big, contact information with your phone number and a basic good email that's got your name in it. Now next, you can sometimes have your address. Now generally, for just a basic generic rule, I would say do not have your address on your resume. And the reason is that if you live kind of far from the establishment, you can actually disqualify yourself for the job just because they like might be worried about you making it to work on time, especially if they know that you live on the other side of a part of town that tends to have a lot of traffic going that way to work. So if they're worried about traffic, then remember the reliability hot button. This is a serious problem to the point that if you live too far away, they could disqualify you to get a job. So I would say have kind of two. Actually, you don't even really need to have two versions. You can have just this basic version without a resume. However, if you do live really close to a place, this can be a bonus. So I would say that if you're going to apply to places that are really close to you, you know, within a couple miles or definitely like walking or biking distance, then do have your address on a resume that you're gonna take just to that establishment. Does that make sense? So have a generic one for places that might be farther, and if you have another one with your address for just a few places that you might apply that's right around the corner from where you live. Otherwise, no address. Now, next thing down is a statement of intent. Now, you don't always have to have a statement of intent, but because our resume is gonna be kind of more of a skeleton than having big long sentences on it, we wanna have a little bit of a blurb here, but we wanna keep it short and sweet and to the point. We don't wanna make this too long. Don't try to start describing how cool you are. General rule in life, if you have to tell anybody how cool you are, you're immediately not that cool. With your statement of intent, this is a good place to put those hot buttons. Reliability, enthusiasm, knowledge, or necessarily your experience if you've done the private parties like I've told you. Good example is seeking to secure a position in an establishment where my knowledge, enthusiasm, and reliability can benefit your establishment or both parties. Now another little kind of trick is that you can, if you see an ad for a place, you can actually pull the words right out of their ad. So say there was an ad for a bar in your town, like seeking a bartender that is outgoing, knowledgeable, and enthusiastic. You can take those words right out of the ad and put them into your statement of intent, like seeking position where my outgoing, enthusiastic nature and my knowledge of drinks can be used to benefit this establishment, right? And then generally the manager wrote that and the manager's gonna be reading your resume and they're gonna, maybe they might catch it, maybe they won't, but they're like, shit, that's exactly what I need. Or maybe they do catch it and they'll go, oh, look at this clever motherfucker took this right out of the ad. And that's a good thing. Even if they catch that you did that, that's a good thing. It just shows that you're smart and you're ahead of the curve and you're ahead of your competition. Remember, these are all the little things that we're stacking in our favor. The first thing you should do is do those private parties. So again, go watch that private party video, do it to the point where you have at least one gig done so that you have legitimate bartending experience on your resume. And that's the whole point of that lesson, is to get you making money literally right away, but it's also for this right here so that we have experience that we can put on our resume. Because you are now an official working bartender, right? And that might be more recent, but still just put it on there. That's experience. It's relevant experience. So with resumes, remember that there are no rules, right? We're claiming that there's no rules to resumes, at least for the service industry. And that means that if you need to shuffle things around so that they can read it in the most optimal sequence, then that's fine. So if you've done the private party bartending stuff like I told you, and you have a gig so that you can put that on your resume, the first thing you want to put is relevant work experience and put that bartender right there, bam. And then you can just list, do private party bartending services for weddings, catering, whatever. Just a little blurb about that. And then if you have any other sort of service industry experience or customer service related experience, so if you worked in retail, if you've worked in a coffee shop, if you've worked in a sandwich store, any sort of customer service job, try to put that in there. And then below that you can put work experience, right? So put relevant work experience and then work experience. And then even if they're out of order, or if there's other jobs that you don't want to list that are not as relevant, then don't put that in there, because they usually want to see just 2 years worth of work history. And if they want your most recent and it's not applicable, then put that in work history, and then put the relevant stuff in relevant work history, and they'll figure it out. And if there's gaps in there, don't worry about that. If they have a question or they want to know about a gap in your work history, what are they going to do? They're going to call us. Which, remember, that's the whole point, is to get a phone call. And you can say, like, yeah, I worked at an old folks home for a while, or I did cat juggling and underwater basket weaving, and I didn't really think it was relevant. And they'll, but you got them on the phone and they're like, no way, you juggle cats? That's crazy. Which, by the way, some people will just straight up lie about experience on their resume. Okay, now I'm not going to tell you to do this. I'm not going to tell you to not do this, because I know this has gotten people into the industry. The video that I have with Evan, he basically got his first job because he lied about having experience. Now, if you start somewhere that's pretty mellow and it's not a busy bar, then and you practice like I've shown you on a bunch of these videos, and if you've done like private parties and stuff, then it's not that big of a deal. But be very careful here. I'm not going to tell you to lie, but I'm not going to tell you that a lot of people don't do it and get a job. You need to do what you need to do to get a job, and I understand that. And whatever your own moral compass is about that, I'm going to let you deal with it. Okay, so we got experience. If you have education, you can put in there. Like if you have a college degree, put it in there. If you have a high school degree, you can put it in there. If you've done a bartending school, you can put it in there. If you've taken the Bartending Blueprint professional bartender training from my site, you can put that in there and just put professional bartender course. If you have not, if you're one of my viewers and you want to be able to put that on your resume, if you join my Patreon, as of right now, well, I'm doing a special where you can go sign up at any level as a patron over the $1 minimum. I'll give you free access to that course, so you can go through and do it, and then you can say that you've completed a professional bartender training. So if you want to add that and you don't have any sort of formal bartender training, and you don't want to just put YouTube videos, which I wouldn't advise, saying that you've learned professional bartending from YouTube, just because most of the world isn't ready to hear that yet. So underneath that, you can have special skills and interests. This is one of those sections that we usually just leave out. Unless you have very relatable experience to the establishment or to the industry. The only thing I could think of is like flair bartending, but even then, and I'll do another video about flair, but flair is generally not really relevant, and a lot of bars actually don't allow flair. So this is kind of a touchy subject, but if you're like a really cool like flair champion or something, then sure, put that on there. But generally I would just leave special skills and interests blank. If you're bilingual, put that in there for sure, or trilingual, or however many linguals you got. Definitely list that. That's a huge asset. Anything that you think would relate to possibly highlighting the fact that you would be a valuable asset to the establishment, you can put in special skills and interests. Don't use it as a place to brag about stuff that you are cool or good at, right? I wouldn't put that, I used to be a pro snowboarder, or that I love surfing or anything. As cool as that is, it's not relevant, and it actually could give the impression that I might be gone doing that kind of shit all the time, which is true, which is why you don't want to put that on there. Next thing is references. Now, the basic rule with references is that you usually put available upon request. So you usually don't list your references, but remember, there's no resume rules here. And if you feel like your resume is pretty skinny and you don't have a whole lot on there, then go ahead and list your references. Now, references are simply anybody that can speak highly about your work ethic. And this can be past coworkers and managers are good, which are professional references. This can actually be friends or even family members. So you want to start at the top of the food chain and try to get coworkers and past managers, and hopefully you have a decent relationship with at least one coworker that you can use as a professional reference, preferably managers or owners. And hopefully you can use some friends that can speak intelligently about your work ethic. Now, if you have friends or family or even any people that are professional reference, coworkers or something that are not used to fielding professional reference calls, you might want to coach them a little bit. Remember the hot buttons of reliability, knowledge, and enthusiasm. You want to have them kind of coach them on how they want to paint you in that way. So go down that list. If your coworkers all hate you, use your friends. If your friends all hate you, then use your family members, but use family members that have a different last name. I could literally put my mom on there and they're not gonna know. Just make sure that you tell your mom to not say that she's your mom. And we're not trying to deceive anybody. We're not trying to lie to anybody. We're just trying to do what we need to do to get a job. So remember, references, anybody who can speak highly about your work ethic, focusing on reliability, the knowledge that you have, and that you're very enthusiastic and outgoing. And that's basically the rundown for a resume that you need to have. And another cool that I'm gonna tell you about is to add videos. So videos are becoming a very common part of the submission process for resumes, and it's something that I'm gonna advise you to do, and it's something that I have done. I have an old video. I don't know if I'll put it up because it's kind of outdated. Maybe I'll try to reshoot it. But I have an old video that I actually used to hand in. It was literally a video that I made, and I burned it onto just a basic DVD, with my laptop. It wasn't anything fancy. And I literally just hand wrote on there, Jason Shirts, video resume. And I would staple that to my resume packet and hand it in. So this just immediately gives a unique element to your resume and to your application. Now you can actually burn DVDs if you want to, or you can just have a link and upload this on YouTube. You can upload it as unlisted, which that just means that if you don't want have this on a public profile, only the people that have the link will be able to see it. It won't be listed in search results on YouTube. And then you can put actually that link in your resume somewhere. I would actually put that kind of up top. So next to your phone number and email address, you could also put that link in there. And try to use one of the URL shortening, like Bitly is a free link shortening service. So you want to take, basically if you make a video, put it on YouTube as unlisted, take that link, put it into a URL shortener that you can customize, like Bitly, I know for sure. There's some other ones, but that's just the one that I use, and it's easy to do. And it's cool because you can always you can log back in there and it'll tell you how many times it's been viewed and stuff, so you can kind of track how often people are looking at it. You can also see that on YouTube. But anyway, use those URL shorteners and have just a basic video. And again, you're basically just kind of gonna go through what's on your resume on that video. So introduce yourself, kind of go through the statement of intent, looking to work in a place where my enthusiasm, reliability, and knowledge and experience can benefit your establishment. This is what I've done to educate myself and be a good bartender. This is actually where you can kind of go into some of your personal interest on your video, because you want them to kind of get a feel for who you are. And then also make sure that you articulate that you understand that this is a business and that the point of your job is to be an asset for the business. And this doesn't have to be fancy. Some tricks to make a good video: you just want to make sure the lighting is good and that the sound is okay. So you can take your phone and then just sort of like place it somewhere and have it cupped so that the sound is good, right? You want to make sure that there's not a bunch of background noise. You want to maybe do it in front of, like if it's daylight, like do it in front of a window that has good light coming through. You want to try to avoid direct sunlight, because direct sunlight actually is kind of weird. And so like if you have like maybe thin curtains or something, or you can just kind of stand back away from the window a little bit. And so you just want good light, and you want your phone or your camera close enough so that you can have good sound. Like don't have the TV on in the background. If you have like a child in the background crying or a dog barking or something, wait till that stops. Go in your room. A room that's carpeted is good because it dampens the sound. Like you want to, don't be in a big open room. So like if you have like a room, like if your living room has hardwood floors and a high ceiling, don't film in that room because the sound is going to bounce and it'll sound really weird. Go in a room that's carpeted or something that it will make the sound better and that has good light. All right, so that's a little mini video lesson on how to make decent videos. But at least in this industry right now, isn't that common, so it's still something that will be unique if you can add it onto your resume. So one of the other things that I talk about in the 48-hour getting started as a private party bartender, I talk about getting business cards made. You can just go, you don't have to pay a lot for. You can go to Vistaprint. It's cheap. Vistaprint.com. You can order cheap, pretty cheap business cards, just professional bartender business cards with your name, your email, and your phone number, and that's it. Other things like cover letters, there's different opinions on this. I personally don't have a cover letter just because this is something that most managers don't read it. Cover letters are more formal. If you are an actual manager applying to a restaurant or a bar in this industry, I would say definitely. But someone who's just a bartender, they're not really gonna read that. Also, you can go to the Bartending Blueprint, and I have really cool custom bartender resume templates that I've made. Just go to bartendingblueprint.com/enter, and there is a page there that you can enter your name and your email. You'll give you a download page of 6 different custom resume templates that are really cool that I had made for me specifically, 5 or 6 years ago when I changed bars. So go to that. There's a link down below. I'll leave a link here as well if I can. And go download those, and then use those as the template to fill out your resume. So you'll have your business card, your DVD, that resume, and then if you have letters of recommendation, you can staple those onto the back. Like I have letters of recommendation from past coworkers, managers, owners, and customers. So those are cool. Those are gonna be more difficult unless you've actually been bartending for a little while. And if you've done a couple of private party gigs, make sure you ask them if it was a good experience for them and for you. Say, hey, would you be open to writing me a short letter of recommendation, because I'm trying to get into some establishments and I'm just trying to build up my resume portfolio. They might say no. I mean, it never hurts to ask, but most people are pretty cool and they'll probably help you out. So you want to add that in there as well. So that's something you can put on the back of that. If you can create this resume package and hand this in to a hiring manager or an owner, this is going to be a very unique thing that is, even for teaching this stuff for 5+ years, I still haven't seen this walk in my establishment. So it's still not that common. I have heard of a few people making videos, but it's very rare. So the rest of this stuff is just gonna be completely unique and generally is gonna be rare anywhere you go. So there you go. That is a massive load of information about how to make a really cool resume package. Remember that we're just trying to be short and sweet and to the point. We're trying to just pique their interest enough so that they give us a phone call, so that we can get them on the line, so that they can get to know us, get to know our personality, see that we're enthusiastic and outgoing, and that we know our stuff and we are capable and able to be an asset to the establishment. Okay, so that's it for this lesson. The next one, we're gonna go into if this stuff is working, you're gonna start to get phone calls for the interview. So the next episode, we're gonna talk about how to nail the interview. So if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. If you like this episode, make sure to hit the thumb up down below the video. If you're a new viewer, maybe think about subscribing so you can get notifications anytime I have new episodes coming out. And if you would like to support this channel directly, think about please supporting me over at patreon.com/bartendingpro, and you could maybe potentially work with me directly. All right, that's it for this episode. Thank you for watching. I'm Jason. This has been making you a bartending pro. I'll see you next time. Cheers.